Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
It's playoff time this week, where NASCAR used to host its premier season finale. We're going to start out this race for the first race of the playoffs here for the Overtake iRacing League. Welcome in, everybody. I'm your host, Bradley Cooper. Alongside of me here tonight, Logan Threlkeld, and we have a very re-racked point system here tonight, Logan. GT Hawkins, who led the points with probably the last 5 races intact, has now been reset back to 3rd. It's James Silvers who's going to start up on the top. Everything just got chaotic. It changed entirely, but there's the top 16 drivers. Logan, what's your takeaway here as we start out tonight?
It's wild to see it shake up like this, and it's still even more wild to see GT up there in the top 3 still with 0 wins.
Yep. Yeah, that is out of control. I mean, you can see Hawkins 0 on the board. I just can't believe he didn't get one this season, but he's in the top 3. He's 2 points out from the lead, so that shows how consistent he was this entire season. Not very many drivers can say they made it into the playoffs without a win, let alone into the top 3. And take a look here at Homestead, Miami. I apologize for the old graphic. Thought I had a Homestead graphic already, but 1.5 miles, 4 corners, opened in 1995. And if you remember correctly, they've had a reconfiguration to progressive banking here on this oval. So the racing a little bit different, a little more multi-groove. I'm excited to get this one underway. But let's take you track side now. Get that grid up on your screen. Starting on the pole here today, it's going to be the number 44, Radburn Shutters, with a 32.989. GT Hawkins, 3rd in points, 2nd in this race. He's going to start on the outside. James Silvers is going to belong in 3rd position for now. Let's see if he can get up there to the point. Eric Hutton's going to be in 4th. Row number 3 belongs to David Farmer with Yusuf Ghali in 6th. Sean Kaser and Blake Hensley in row number 4. And then it's Dick Mills and Brandon Holder for the top 10.
In the 11th spot, Craig Schroeder. Next to him, Matt Grenier. Cody Anderson in the 13th position, and Brendan McCollum next to him. Michael Cole in the 67, starting out in 15th, next to John Schwartz. Jonathan Cofield in 17th, next to Lucas Lyon in the 77 car. Mark Morton and Dustin Reinstedel finish out in your top 20.
Well, we're live in a race, and we barely got through that grid. Had a little technical glitch. Still having a couple little problems here, but let's go to the live shot. We're live in racing at Homestead.
Probably let off.
behind a lead lap number 1. As you're hearing some of the race chatter, I apologize for that. I had to get my settings fixed and forgot to turn the old sound back. You know how that is. Sometimes you get out on the racetrack and I don't know if it's happened to you yet, Nick, but we turn our spotters off here and, well, rookie mistake on my part.
It happens sometimes, Bradley. It gets the best of us. I won't hold it again.
Sound has been plaguing Vspeed all week long, but I tell you what's not plaguing the 44 right now. Dirty Air. He is pulled out already to 0.3 of a second. And watch this progressive banking as this race goes on. You're going to see them work their way up the racetrack, use more grip on there at the top. That high line very fast on the exits of these corners. Hawkins, though, he's keeping the 44 honest. He's kept him within 2.3. Hasn't let him get away, and you know that if the 14 car was going to win a race, it's probably going to be this one, just to start out the playoffs, because he's went winless all season. This would be the one.
Yeah, it's about time for him, so might as well get ahead of the game. First round of the playoffs here,
So all of my cameras, everything here today. We must have had an update that I didn't know about. I don't know if I reinstalled iRacing today. But here comes a challenge for the lead already here on lap 4. Shutters maybe saving his stuff a little bit here. I'm not entirely sure, but he's already in chase mode. He led some laps. So now the 14 says, well, I got to match that. Let's put it up on the point.
Yeah, and like we said just a second ago, perfect time for him to pull something out of the bag, and no better time than the first round of playoffs, really, to get you first.
Don't count out the other Cornerstone Motorsports driver back here, James Silvers. He comes into today with that points lead. Remember the 17, I mean, we talked about Hawkins, we talked about Holder, we've mentioned quite a few names all season long, but, Silvers just had a quiet season, and it was enough that put him on the top. We really underestimated it, and I would like to apologize to Silvers because he did a phenomenal job all season long.
Yeah, absolutely. All these drivers here in this top 16, they all had to drive to the best of their abilities to beat out their competitors to get here. So we've got the best of the best out of this league right here for round 1.
Just about to see some racing to the inside of David Farmer. Hawkins got to the inside of Shutters, wasn't able to complete the pass there, and so he'll fall back a couple tenths. You'll see on the outside there, that's the 48 of John Schwartz. He's trying to work this line already, trying to go to the high side. Farmer a little bit higher. That middle line can work, but I think right now, track hasn't really heated up enough to justify going up this high. I think you stay down on the bottom, save your tires, and you can see already the 44 and the 14 have pulled away. And it's a pretty sizable gap of about 0.7 of a second. You look off the back of the 14 car right now. He has no reason to really worry. He has no one pressing on the back bumper, giving him air on the back. It's really when this car starts to struggle at Homestead is when you can get right up on the rear spoiler. There's no rear downforce, and you can't get that drive off.
Yeah, I could see where that could pose some problems, and maybe that 14 car looking to cause some of those problems for the 44 here early, but it seems to get away from him a little bit now, and we'll see how this goes.
Can't get the run there. Shutters elects to take the outside line that time through 1 and 2. He's going to hold on to the lead for another lap as we come by to complete lap number 9. Shutters on point. Eric Hutton in the 3rd spot, starting to chase him down a little bit here.
I was just thinking he was creeping up there in that last frame we had.
And he's getting a little bit closer with each lap. Last time by, he was about 1/10 faster than your leader, who has clean air, and 2/10 faster than Hawkins. I think it's just a matter of time before this 87 car finds his way on the back of the 2nd place driver. Hawkins has probably backed it up a little bit here, knowing that the radar that Hawkins has had all season long. It's fitting that his last name is Hawkins because he watches the entire field. He knows what everything that these guys are doing. He's playing 1,000 strategies in his head. He's the crew chief. He's the pit crew. He's everything all at once.
That takes a lot of skill to do too, so props to him. Better than I can do, that's for sure.
Look at how frustrating is it when you're trying to just change tires, you accidentally tick a box and you don't fill the car up, or you had a fast repair and you chose not to use it, and then the next time you come in you forget to uncheck it again. And I mean, it's just frustrating to be a pit crew, and it's so much nicer when you have somebody up there on the box that knows what they're doing, can tell you, hey, leader's pitting, or bring it down this time, makes sense. Mathematically you can make it, whatever the case may be. Well, that's in real life. Well, let's try doing that at 170, 180 miles per hour in the middle of a corner just before you come down pit road.
Yeah, it's tough. I've lost many of races by either unchecking the box that I really needed, or like you mentioned with the fast repairs. It's demoralizing sometimes because it's just a rookie mistake, but it's so easy to make.
On board with the 45, Yusuf Ghali sitting in the 6th position. Just got past. He's got 3 wide here. Blake Hensley peeking to the bottom. This is her 5th through 7th spot. The Silver's holding on pretty well, but you gotta look at the distance between him and John Schwartz, who's creeped up into the 4th spot. We're looking at 1.3 seconds between 4th and 5th, and then an additional 7/10 from 3rd to 4th. Hutton was catching. He's giving that ground back up. Looks like the lap times have fallen off.
Yeah, I noticed him start losing a couple tenths here and there, but I'm keeping my eye on Schwartz right now. He's got some pretty clean air where he's at. He's got nobody fighting him. You know, it could be a long con game for Mr. Schwartz here.
As you can see, kind of reminiscent of Kansas here, where everyone's moved up to that higher line. 14 laps into this race, we're already wall riding. In Miami, Silver's in the 5th spot. It's Schwartz, Hutton, Hawkins, and Shutters for that top 5. There's a driver that's had a lot of success in the other series. It's the number 9 of Brandon Holder. 4 wins on the season. Not very many drivers can say they've accomplished that. And I don't think any driver in this 3 series league could say they had 4 wins. So he had the most of any particular driver and the most overall.
That's a pretty tough accomplishment there. You know, all these guys in this league can drive pretty good, and to say you won 4 in one of them, that's pretty good. I'd be happy with that if I was Holder.
Remember Monday's race not always going according to plan for some of the drivers. It was a handful for most of them, and I know that the shakeup in the points after Monday's race in the Truck Series, I can't wait to get those tallies and get those up on the screen for you next week. The Holder's putting that behind him. He says, okay, I'm going to come out here. It's a new day, bigger track. I'm going to do what I do best. And Holder's success has really boiled down to kind of a sleeper mode, you know? It's like that teenager that shows up in his mom's Ford Taurus and asks you to drag race, and you don't really realize what's happening until you realize it's the show edition, and he takes you to Gapplebee's.
Really bothers me whenever I get taken to Gapplebee's by a Ford Taurus.
Yeah, I've seen it happen. It does happen. So coming up on lap number 19, the 44 has started to pull away a little bit more. 4/10, almost half a second. Hawkins got around, or is still around in that position to maybe strike if Shutters makes a mistake, but right now it's just kind of a waiting game. Like how patient you have to be at this racetrack. You can see the 14, he's down on the bottom. Logan, this is saving the tires, but ultimately for him to be running the line, saving tires, and still keeping pace with the 44, that makes me think the 14's got race-winning speed.
Absolutely, and I don't see any reason why he can't pull it off. You know, it is a long race, so it'll be kind of gruesome at some points to be these drivers, and once these cars start getting slick, they'll be hard to handle, but if anybody can pull it off, it's this group that we've got on the track today.
And I just kind of wonder, I saw them alternate lines there, and 1 and 2, it looked like the 14 was down to the bottom. They just switched it up because the 44 went to the bottom in 3 and 4, and I think Hawkins was trying to keep clean air on the nose, so he changed his line. And I think he likes it. I think he's liking the outside. He liked the speed he was getting, so moved it up the racetrack. We'll gain here out of 4.
Not too bad, trying to stay within that half-second reach.
And in case you were wondering, Logan, those smash burgers were amazing.
Oh, I believe it. I was almost halfway there.
They're incredible. And yeah, I hate myself now, but at the time of eating it, I felt 1,000% better. It didn't make me a better person, for sure. Probably with the amount of bacon I put on it, shortened my life a little bit.
That's for later's problems, you know?
Yeah.
We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Nothing like a good iRacing session to get the blood flowing, though.
Absolutely.
Push whatever clogs you have in those arteries around, and here we got the top 5 pretty spread out. You can see Farmer behind the 45. Looks like 5th position back, still pretty close, relatively all the way back to the 31 of Blake Hensley. So 5th through 10th. They can all change positions at any time. You see Silver actually struggle a little bit here with the handling of the 17. And now the 25 of Sean Kaser is going to try to work on the inside of Holder. These guys are 5th on back. Look like the cars are a little used up at this point. We're only about halfway through this run. Oh, Silver's tags the apron.
Yeah, I've been keeping my eye back here at the back of the pack. You know, since the front's so spread out right now, not too much going on. There's a lot of movement back here.
These are the closest battles on the racetrack. Kaser gets around the 17 of Silverson to turn 3. Blake Hensley up on the outside. He was behind this group just a moment ago, and it looks like Silvers decides to bring it down pit road.
Early choice for the 17 car there, but if nobody else follows, this could be a good chance for him to make a decent run from the back.
And remember, 5 tire sets here, so pitting this early, if the fuel stint is only, 35, 40 laps, that's going to make it kind of tight if he pits this early, because he's going to use one of those sets. We get a caution. He's probably not going to be in a very good situation. I don't know how much fuel these guys have left, but I'd have to estimate that they probably had another 5, 6 laps. But here comes a 48, so I might be wrong.
Yeah, there's a couple more coming down pit road right now.
Must be burning the tires off of this thing quick, because, all season long we've been running 1.5 miles. These cars have made it 35 plus. So here today, maybe I don't know. Maybe they're burning a lot. I don't know. Maybe 4th gear is the only way to get through the corners. Maybe the RPMs are through the roof to get around. Here comes the leader, Shutters, down pit road. Eric Hutton right behind him. So the top 3 all within quick succession. We have a few still out there. There's Blake Hensley as well. A few cars still on the racetrack. Yusuf Ghali still out there. David Farmer now coming down pit road. Michael Cole in the number 67 is still out there on the racetrack as well. Dustin Reinstedt, Brandon McLaughlin, Woody Anderson in the 5th position.
Bradley, I didn't take note of what the track temperature was when we started this race here today. Do you recall what that was?
Right up on the top of the screen there, 107 degrees. So very, very slick out there today. And when you get into the triple digits, it's usually a sign that the car's not going to handle as predictable as usual. Maybe that's why they brought it down pit road.
That's kind of what I was thinking there is, exactly like you said, triple digits. They'll eat those tires up and just cause this track to be way slicker than what they're probably used to.
Logan, I'm going to tease you for a little bit, though. I think you should work for Goodyear. You've got good insight on these tires, and I think you absolutely should be the tire wear expert. I think you could fix the Cup Series, because outside of the Atlanta race, I think I've seen a scripted response to every single thing. They're trying to duplicate those ratings. And the only way you're going to get those ratings at Martinsville, again, is if you let a watermelon farmer ride the wall around the exit. in the last lap. That's the only way that happens again.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had to hold myself from laughing out loud
Are you
at that
keeping
one.
it together right now?
I'm barely doing it.
Hey, it's playoff time. I'm having fun. I hope you guys are too out there in the chat. Welcome into the broadcast. You're watching the Overtake iRacing League Cup Series, playoff race number 1 at Homestead. Riding on board with the 45 of Vspeed. He has stayed out for 29 laps. There's 3 cars still out on the racetrack. Cody Anderson, the other driver, and Brandon Holder in the number 9 back in 3rd. Actually, well, I'm corrected. He came down pit road now. He's going to be down and away. Wouldn't expect to see the 45 and the 42 stay out too much longer, because any advantage they have right now dwindling away. I know that on the opposite side of this, they are going to be faster than the guys that came in, especially Silvers, who came in on the lap, I believe it was, what, 28? Very early for the stint, 24. It was very
24.
early. So, you know, Golly and Anderson stretching this run out past 30 laps. You can see Golly actually struggles out of 4. They're losing time right now of about a second and a half. And that to me says come down pit road now, because you're looking at 5-6 laps difference on tires. At this point, your advantage is there. You need to come in.
But at the same time, you might try to put some laps on these tires and, you know, maybe have that freshest set at the end of this race. With everybody pitting at lap 30 with 5 sets of tires, you can get a set at 150 laps and probably be fine, but you can get a set with 5 laps. That could be a huge difference.
The only situation I'm thinking of right now outside of the strategy that we originally talked about, there is a possibility that he could stretch this run out further and not have to pit one less pit stop. That could be the difference maker. However, how much time are you losing overall on the racetrack? Where's that going to calculate? You're asking me to do that much math here on demand on Vspeed. You're not going to get it, guys. I'm sorry. In the chat, you can beg me to do that much math. I won't.
I can't say I blame you. That would be kind of a brain twister there to figure that one out. But
we're talking about, a 10th here, Logan, a 10th there. Now, right now, we're talking about a second plus a 10th there and a 10th here. Your overall time on pit road, looking at about 37, 38 seconds down the lane, 14 and a half in the box. Bear in mind, it's going to get more difficult for the 45 and 42 to get on pit road. You can see Golly came out of 4 the last time, completely sideways. Imagine that. Now try to bring it down into the pits at 50 miles per hour. It's just, it gets more complicated the longer you stretch this run out.
Yeah, and it's just going to get more and more slick as it goes on. So eventually there's a line you got to draw and say, okay, this is where I come in. And there's the line. .45 had issues getting in there. Might have been a black flag for speeding.
A little biased in the chat, Mon Flynn. Thank you for coming into the broadcast. Yeah, that's a lot of bias, actually. Ryan Levy, welcome into the chat. Donna K, always a pleasure, and welcome in. I think tonight, with the 45 pitting the way he did, Anderson stays out to lead a lap. Remember, playoff contentions were a little tight here for the 42, and I think they were tighter in the Xfinity Series, if I remember correctly, Logan. You can correct me if I'm wrong on that. Was it the Cup Series? I can't remember, but there was a situation here where the 42 car, he was right on the edge and was able to get into the playoffs, so he's got to lead some laps. He's got to get those bonus points. He needs a stage win. That's ultimately what it's going to boil down to, is how many points can he maximize here?
Yeah, it was the Cup League. You are right about that. He was right there. I think it was a tie for the last 4 drivers, 12 through 16, for this playoff contention. So you're absolutely right. And I was thinking about that, if he was going to follow Yusuf into the pits or not. And I'm glad to see that he chose to stay out, pick up some points, and if he's lucky enough, like you said, well, I'm going to stop what I'm saying, and yeah. Eat my words.
Don't jinx him. He's having a good race so far, and we'll take it at that. 44 is going to resume the lead here as he goes to the outside of Anderson on lap 36. Well, Hawkins still pursuing the 44, but everyone's moved up to that higher line a lot earlier in this stint. We saw it around lap 15 last time. These guys have already moved topside by about lap 9 this time through, and I think that dynamic track's starting to play a factor.
Yeah, it's got to be at this point. And, you know, we might see it move back down the racetrack a little bit later. It is a long race, but I'd say we're going to see most of this action up here at the top of the track.
So right now, as it sits, Shutters, Hawkins, Schwartz, Hutton, and Golly. A little change there for the 5th spot. Silvers falls back to 7th. And then, I mean, you look at the spread here. Look at the tenths of a second. It's not tenths anymore like it used to be. And now it's full second gaps between this top 5. You've got 1 back to Hawkins, 1.5 back to Schwartz, 1.8 back to Hutton. And this is the gap between each driver. We're talking 1, 2, 4, 5. I mean, it just gets larger and larger, the gaps between these drivers. The closest battle on the racetrack is between Blake Hensley right now and Brandon Holder. This is 8th, 9th position. Somebody, I mean, outside of the stage break here, Logan, we might have the potential here to go green all the way.
Yeah, if these guys stay spread out like they are, and they're doing a great job controlling the car given the circumstances, so there's a very high potential to see a green flag race.
Oh, what a move there by Holder. He let Hensley go on the inside and then crossover. Hensley just overdrove the exit of 3 and got a little high and sideways. Holder puts it right back on him, and now Sean Kaser trying to take away the spot. Little mistake there for Hensley. I'm sure he'll recover, but it's boiling down to this. When did we pit last? And look at the difference on tires on this stint. Nick Mills, 31 laps. He's out there all by his lonesome right now. I think he may have short pitted, or maybe he might be in a different situation entirely. I'd have to say that him and Silvers both have kind of changed their outcome here. And Mills, he's on the oldest tires on the racetrack right now.
Yeah, he's got a lot more age than the rest of these drivers here, and you know, we'll see if he can keep up with them. If he can, that's, you know, not a bad move by any means.
Lead dwindles down a little bit here. Hawkins is shaving it away to the 44. We last checked in, it was about 1.3 seconds. It was just over a second. Now he's going to make a liar out of it. We're going to come out of turn 2, and it's going to go back to that gap. So I don't know exactly where. I'm kind of seeing Shutters and Hawkins trade, and it makes me think that both of them are in save mode. They don't want to push the issue just yet.
Yeah, I think they're both noticing, you know, the gain and the loss in the corners each time by, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're in save mode. I mean, look at the gap here behind Shutters. There's obviously GT there in the rear view, but the next car is just a spec to him. There's not a whole lot of contention up here right now.
Yeah, it's a solid 3.5 there. I'm actually seeing Schwartz shave the lead down. He was the fastest car on the racetrack. And, well, fastest in this top 3, we'll put it that way. Yusuf Ghali actually the fastest car. He stayed out a lot longer than these guys. Now let's see where the cliff is for the 45, because he pitted about, let's say, 7 laps sooner than the 42. Did I say 7? I meant 3. Yeah, it's Anderson back here in 14th. I'm not sure if he got a speeding penalty or if there was a mistake here, but he's wouldn't think that staying out would have put him that far back. I have to say that maybe just a little bit. I mean, down the lane, he's the fastest. He got an unbelievably good pit stop, but oh, I see what it is. I see what it is now, Logan. 9 seconds in the box. I think he might have just taken fuel here on this stint.
That would be an interesting move, but you know, he came out of the pits in 15th and he's worked his way up to 14th. So either the 56 car had some issues or he's just keeping up with them.
Maybe 2 tires here, I'm not entirely sure. But I want to say that 9 seconds, if they ran it all the way through the fuel run, 9 seconds is about the time it would take to fill it up as well. So hypothetically, if you did take right sides, based off of my time, I won't have a clue. It's about 14 seconds to get 4 tires. I think right now, if he didn't take tires for the amount of time it took to put fuel in it, he might have been better off to just take them.
Yeah, and it's kind of looking the way he exited 4 there that I think you're right. He must have just taken 2 tires or only fuel. And obviously, based off the time, you know, he definitely didn't take 4.
Chasing it down the front stretch there, all the way below the white line. Checking in with some of these other drivers. There's David Farmer in the 84. He's trying to chase Brandon Holder down. These are the closest 2 cars on the racetrack, actually allied side by side back here for the 9th position. Remember, Hensley had gotten around the 25 and then with the challenge, made a little mistake and fell back here to the clutches for the 10th position. Hensley doing a good job on defense right now, trying to maintain the top 10. So lap traffic now a factor here. We Matt Grenier in 17th position. He's already 1 lap down, at threat to go 2 down as Shutters moves to the inside. Gonna make pretty quick work of the 15, and Grenier struggling a little bit here tonight. You know, I've seen him do good at 1.5 mile racetracks, but this is a little bit different of an animal. And Logan, you've raced at Atlanta, Charlotte, you know, Texas. You've been on those places. You've seen the locations at the very least, and so Homestead very unique compared to those tracks.
Yeah, I actually have no experience here at Homestead. Unfortunately, I do like the track. You know, I've seen plenty of clips from it floating around the internet, but unfortunately no experience to really make that connection between the others. But you know, just judging by how these drivers are going, it is a different beast in its own world.
Aggressive banking here, similar to what you get at Auto Club or Michigan. Makes for a lot of multi-group racing. Yellow. Oh, we have a yellow flag out. That would be the stage break. I guess I missed that here on lap 50. So Radburn Shutters, I missed it entirely. I was waiting for that white flag and I forgot to put it up. There's your stage winner. Let's just go ahead and put it up on the screen, the 44. It snuck up on me, look.
You know, we kind of got a little off track there a couple times. I can't say I'm surprised.
Well, the highlight of the season here is now we re-rack them. Anything that you learned in the regular season racing with these guys or watching, spectating, you know that when you re-rack and you go to the second half, the second stage of this race rather, the scenarios change. So this first stint, usually guys go out there, they see how far they can push the car, they throw a Hail Mary, they say, well, I'll finish in the top 3 and get some stage points. You're going to see a lot more conservation here in this stint.
I could see that. You know, it makes sense too. Just run your tires out and keep as many fresh sets as you can for the last 30 to 15 laps of the race. So that's not a bad strategy. I like the way you're thinking there, Mr. Cooper.
Yeah, I think you dial it back a little bit here, and even if you did show your hand a little bit with the speed, driving it out there on the edge, you could pick up some points. That's important. I mean, look at Hawkins. He didn't get any wins this season, but he did get stage wins. Now, I'll have to go back and make sure I get this statistic correct, but he was one of the most winningest stage drivers, I believe.
I mean, he proved his point, though. He stayed up there in the top 3 for season points, so he knew he had something going on, and he stuck with it. Got this far, at least.
Hawkins with 3 stage wins. I mean, overall, there's not very many drivers that have stage wins at all. There's Radburn Shutters with 2 of them. Yusuf Ghali has a couple. Silvers has 1, but 3 wins there on the stages. I think that's ultimately the bonus points that the 14 car put it all together here.
Yeah, he found the right combination for that. That's for sure.
We're going to take a quick commercial break here live on Vspeed. We're going to get some of these technical issues worked on here. See if we can get everything squared away. But we're watching the Overtake iRacing League Cup Series. First race of the playoffs live on Vspeed. More coverage continues right after this.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Back here live from Homestead Miami Speedway. Stage number 1 has been completed here in playoff race number 1. 44 Radburn Shutters gets that win. Gonna add some bonus points to that tally. He led the most laps as well. In fact, I believe he led all of them. Well, with the exception of a few. I think Yusuf Ghali got a couple in there and chalked it up. Cody Anderson also on that list. But outside of that, that was through pit stops. The 44, phenomenal drive. But all that gain he had, it means nothing, Logan. We're about to go back green, and everyone's back on the rear bumper.
Yep, that gain is gone, but if he can repeat what he did that first stint, then I think he'll be all right.
Let's find out if the 44 can accomplish that. Barney has the green flag up in the air. We fixed one of our problems, but not the other one. We're back live and racing, though. 45 of Yusuf Ghali pushing the 48 into 1.
Shutter's got a huge jump on that restart, too, so he's going to make sure he's staying out in that clean air as long as he can.
Yusuf Ghali in a traffic jam right now and nowhere to go. You're the 44 right now. You're loving what you see in the mirror because these guys, 3 wide contact. 17 of Silvers is around into the inside wall, and that's going to bring out a yellow. And the points leader coming into today wrecked on the first lap of the second stage.
Well, we thought we were going to go green. They were doing a great job up until that point.
It was the second lap, rather, and the 17 car comes out of turn 4. Let's back this up a little bit. Dial in the Vspeed instant replay. Here's a good look at it. The 9 Holder gets loose right in front of him. Silvers, I think, maybe lifted. I can't tell from this angle. Let's back it up one more time.
It looked like he got into the backup holder there and kind of pinched him up against the wall.
Well, the 9 definitely gets loose about right here. You can see him chasing it up and down the racetrack. I think there's a little contact between him and Holder and maybe a little bit from Hutton. Have to look at that from another perspective, but let's take take it from TV1, maybe. Man, that's a tough angle to get a good look at. No contact between him and the 87 that I can tell from that angle, but definitely contact between him and the 9.
Yeah, and looks like that 31 of Hensley is what ended up putting him into the inside shoulder there.
Yeah, Hensley was already down at the bottom of the track, and as soon as that 17 bounced off of the 9 of Holder, Hensley had nowhere to go. So the 31 gonna bring it down pit road. We got a few takers. Holder, looks like the 42 of Anderson gonna come in there and get one of those 5 tire sets. Silvers, of course, with heavy front end damage, that front end barely being held on, and then Sean Kaser, 56, Craig Schroeder, Michael Cole in as well. A lot going on here today, but one thing that's been pretty consistent, 44. Shutters, 45 laps led. It's 90% of this race. I mean, what more can you ask?
I don't think that there's much more you can ask, but about 10%.
Yeah, I mean, I can promise you that he's only driving at 90% right now, so that's fitting. I think he's got speed. 14's got speed. I'm interested to see. I keep getting glimpses here of the 48 car, and is he hiding something? Because Shorts has shown that he's a couple tenths faster at times during this race, but then he immediately dials it back. It's like he's purposefully sees that gain and just says, okay, I'm not going to push it right now. Let's just take it back those 2 tenths. I'll get them later.
Yeah, and I mean, at this point, there's not a whole lot of reason to push, except to gather up some bonus points for leading laps, but, you know, some of these guys might not care about that, and they only want to lead the one lap that matters most, the last one.
That's the one that pays, and you look at the overall victories, the little miniature victories that you can get throughout a season. It's the little things where you set yourself up during the entire race or play head games with guys. Don't show them what you have just yet. We're not at the halfway point. There's no reason right now for any of these drivers to say, hey, I'm faster than you, push the issue, use their stuff up. The only idea I can have right now, and this is with taking all of the points, resetting everything, the situation with the car count right now, if you're in the top 16, I mean, that's the entire field right now. So you don't stand to gain too much here today in this first race unless you win.
Yeah, that's the only thing, is just to maybe put yourself up there in the top end contention, but like you said, this is the top 16. There's not a whole lot of reason to be too crazy right now.
Then you got the situation where we had non-chase drivers in here, and one of, like the 17 of Silvers who just had an issue here on lap 56. He's not going to lose as many spots in those points because there's not a bunch of non-participants in that playoff format for him to finish behind. So even if he finished at the tail end of this field, right now a lap down, 17th position, really not that bad. And I know that in hindsight, it might be one of those deciding factors for who does get the win in the overall points. But right now, I think that's the silver lining of all this. And if we get another yellow, maybe Silvers can come down, get some of that repaired, and be back here on the lead lap. But now racking it back up, pace car going to pull out of the way for the 3rd time today at Homestead. 44 of Shutters going to get on the loud pedal, hits the line for the restart zone. Green flag is out. We're back live and racing. Oh, the 14th around into the outside wall. Contact there between him and Schwartz, I believe. What happened there, Logan? It happened so fast into one.
I thought he just got loose, honestly. But no.
It's 3 wide there with Golly, and the nose was just there. Go back and take another look at it.
Just enough. But man, what a great recovery to not spin out in front of everybody.
Maybe just a little bit too aggressive there from the 45 car. I mean, you can look at that a number of different ways, but in my personal opinion, no expert opinion, but just personal opinion, I think the 45 waits for that turn to end before he carries that run. I don't know that they were up to full song, and the 48 of Schwartz holding his line, there really wasn't any room there.
Yeah, there's no room to be had. And just an unfortunate outcome there for the 14, but he still has a chance to battle back. Not a whole lot of damage on that car there.
Yeah, pretty minimal damage and a little bit of right front fender damage. And I think we look off the back of Brandon Holder. Well, I thought it was Brandon Holder. I mean, Hawkins raced by them before I could even get the cameras on him, so let's get a look back from Blake Hensley, maybe Nick Mills. If we can get a look at that right front, you can see a little gap there, ever so slight.
All it takes is one caution. You can come in and probably get that fixed up pretty easily.
Yeah, it wouldn't take much. I'd probably say at most a couple minutes. However, Yusuf Ghali takes over the second spot. He's going to try to chase down Shutters in the 44, who's just been dominant so far this race.
Yellow flag is out.
And another yellow. I don't think he hit anything, Logan, but it is the 42 of Cody Anderson coming out of turn 4.
Well, that is unfortunate to see Cody spin around. Do you have a replay of that, Bradley? See what happened there?
I do. Here on the Vspeed insert replay, coming out of turn 4, just gets loose, steps out. Michael Cole nowhere to go. He saw him getting loose, and I think that actually saved the 42.
Yeah, I think you're right. He was heading for that inside wall.
Yeah, I think Michael Cole just saved Cody Anderson's life there, because he was not gonna save that flat transition on the racetrack, and once it's gone, you're just along for the ride.
And these cars like to slide forever.
Back it up here on board in the gyro camera. You'll see him start to snap free. He'll start counter steering, probably a good 20-30 degrees to the right. There's 90 degrees. He saved it once, got back on the throttle, and I don't know. He might have been able to save that based off that wheel input, but this thing was out of control.
It would have been real close to that inside wall there, but either way, still in the race, and that's all that matters. We still have, just shy of 100 laps to go. Plenty of time to make up.
It's Radburn, Shutters, Yusuf Ghali, John Schwartz, David Farmer, and Eric Hutt in the top 5.
Looks like GT went to the pits. Probably getting some of that damage taken care of, and be interesting to see him work his way back up through the field after this restart.
Yeah, that maintaining that top 3 got a little bit harder here today. If you're GT Hawkins, you want to remain on the lead lap, so I don't know if he has any damage left to repair, but the opportunity to repair it, this might be the last chance, so we'll have to wait and see what he's got going on. So I'll actually get another opportunity. He's going to bring it back in, and we might see him take tires on this pit stop. But with that, we're going to take another quick commercial break. The Overtake iRacing League Cup Series playoff race number 1. Back more right after this.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Back here live from Homestead, Miami, and I have bad news for all the Hawkins fans out there. Little mistake here, trying to get the damage repaired for the 14 team. And we'll go back on the instant replay and show you what I'm talking about, but it was not a good situation. Here you see the 14 car. He's trying to leave that stall. He thought he had enough time, but here comes the 44 in the pace car. He has to stop at the exit of pit road.
Oh no.
So he's going to lose a lap here from that situation. That's unfortunate for Hawkins. He was going to maintain this lead lap. I don't think he had enough damage that he was going to end up a lap down from speed or anything of that sort. But just a tiny little miscalculation. We're talking probably a couple tenths where he's trying to maximize that repair. He's going to come back out here on the racetrack and pray for another yellow and hope he's not in it.
Yeah, especially at the back of the pack, you really have to worry about where these cars are going to go. This wall can be quite bouncy sometimes, Bradley.
Safer Barrier likes to slingshot cars back out into the racing surface. They preach about it every week. If you get clogged up into the wall, keep it up there, because there's a good chance if you try to pull it off, you're going to end up taking 2 or 3 guys with you into the racing line. And so far, we've had pretty minor incidents. Outside of James Silver's, that was a little extreme, but comparatively, at Cody Anderson, the 14 of Hawkins, I mean, everything else has been pretty minor here thus far. Pace car out of the way. Front row shutters. Yusuf Ghali, Schwartz, Farmer, and Hutton for the top 5. Green flag is back out. Back underway. You can see him fanning out the multi-groove. Dominant line up high. Everybody, with the exception of a couple cars that were probably in a bad spot, to be overtaken. Now choosing to run the bottom for Holder, Hutton, Farmer. Still shuffling, battling for the top 5. Keeping the 44 of Shutters within viewing distance.
Bradley, I'm seeing a little bit of movement back in the pack around the 9th, 10th, and 11th spot. Looks like Sean in the 25 picked up, I believe that was 2 spots.
Sean Kaser actually has a couple lap. Well, I'd say he's probably on the same stint, because last time in the box only 4.6, so he topped off with fuel. He's keeping pace with the 14, so we know the 14's got back the speed that the car had. Oh, there's Mills down all the way to the bottom of the racetrack, chasing it out of turn 2.
Good job keeping that thing under control. It gets even more slick down there below that white line. Even worse than the hot race surface.
Contact there between him, and I believe that's...
Is that the 81?
I believe that is the 81, yes. I was having a hard time with those chrome numbers and getting exactly. That's Brandon McLaughlin.
I think you might have stared at that solar eclipse too long, Bradley.
Yeah, for sure. I was definitely out there way too long. Don't ever try to take a picture of it with your phone. It doesn't work. So the top three, a little spread out here. Yusuf Ghali loses about half a second. Shutter's in that clean air. I mean, it's just nobody has anything for him. They're going to have to get this done on pit road. I have a feeling that once you get into that dirty bubble and pull the front end off the ground, it just doesn't want to steer and get by.
Yeah, you see that throughout the entire field there, and then once you start seeing kind of a new pack form, and it kind of tightens up again, but, you know, it's, I'm with you. It's going to be pit stops and cautions that determine the outcome of this race. If it's not going to be one of these guys in the top 5 here.
If you're the 14, you're praying for at least one more yellow here today. And race recap up on your screen. 3 cautions, 3 lead changes. The 3 lead changes coming during the green flag pit stops in stage number 1. So really and truly, there was never a pass for the lead. There was a couple attempts from the 14 of Hawkins, but no one's really had anything for Shutters today.
Yeah, it's been a tough battle up there for the front. Shutter's really just commanding everything out of this car and getting every ounce of it. So, you know, he's comfortable with how it's driving, but he's got some tough competition behind him, staying pretty close. You know, Ghali right there at 0.3 of a second, and Schwartz behind him. It's not going to be an easy one, but he's making it look easy.
I mean, when you look at it from our perspective, these cars don't look like they're going quite that fast, but get on board here in the gyro camera. When you're wall riding this machine, you're on the razor's edge. If you want to get an extra 10th here or there, you better make sure you know what you're doing, because as soon as you hit that throttle, that thing's either going to steer down and you're going to wall ride, or it's going to push up and wash the exit, and you're going to end up eating the fence for a good 500-600 feet at the least.
And even Shutter's really, you can tell how he's driving this thing here with that view out of the middle of turn 3 and 4. So I kind of saw him correct it there a little bit, like the back end started to get out from behind him, but not enough to really cause any issues, and still gaining time in that second place at 45 of Ghali.
Battle back here with Blake Hensley. This is Dustin Reinsettle trying to crack his way into the top 10. I believe he was up here a little bit earlier during those green flag pit stops. Started back in the 17th position here today, so up a good chunk. I mean, the biggest move of the race so far is actually John Schwartz. He's up 13, and not sure if something happened to the 48 car in qualifying, but he has top 3 speed. Don't know exactly what went wrong for him, but hopefully he's got it all squared away, got it all figured out. So right up at the halfway point here. It's a great opportunity. I don't know if any of you are still alive in chat. If you are, shout out to you. But this is the prime opportunity to find that remote control or find the buttons on that smart device. Let's bring a little bit of noise here. Turn up the volume on Vspeed. hope you don't have eardrums anymore, Logan, because I cranked that one up extra for you there, and I don't know if you get any sound, but that was it's exfoliating. My eardrums are still tingling.
You know, I actually don't have sound coming through on your broadcast here, so I hopped on the old YouTube app and checked out the Vspeed channel just so I could get some of that ear noise there, and I thoroughly enjoy that.
Excellent, excellent. I love the sounds of these Cup cars. I mean, back in the day, though, back in 2005, 2006, the Cup Series really had the harmonies down, that V8 cranking out, and the boom tubes, just phenomenal sound. The Cup Series still onto something here with the sound of these new next-gen machines. They shortened up that exhaust. You can see it right there. A lot shorter. It used to come out just in front of the rear tire. Now it's about right under the window net, and that has kind of livened up the sound. It's kind of brought it back, and I'd love to go experience that live in person. You just kind of feel that in your chest. It takes your breath away.
Yeah, absolutely. It's almost as exhilarating as a top fuel dragster watching one of those go down the racetrack. You want to talk about something you can really feel in your chest, that's it right there.
Yeah, create a vacuum in space and time. I think when they take off at the line, you can literally feel the pressure change when they suck all that air in. And it's incredible that humans have all these talents. We use them to make horsepower. That's just, we really wanted to boil it down. That's what we want. More speed, more power.
Absolutely. I see nothing wrong with that statement. I will take more horsepower all day.
So Golly holding off shutters here. It looks like quite a few line changes, but they are losing time. I said shutters to Schwartz rather in the 48 machine, but Golly he's lost about a second now since this restart. And again, back to what's happened to Hawkins. This field's got really spread out, Logan. The chances of that yellow slimmer and slimmer with every lap that goes by.
Yeah, it's not looking too good for that 14 machine, but one thing I noticed, I didn't catch this earlier, the 17 of Silver's choosing that damage just was a little bit too much for him.
So it'll be the first DNF of the night. James Silver's out for the day. 29 laps down now currently. But his teammate's still out on the racetrack. He's led now officially 76 of the 89 laps that are about to be completed. 88.5, if you will. And Golly, again, losing a little bit here and there. We're talking about 4 or 5 hundredths of a second, but it's really all Shutters needs to do is maintain this gap and keep it right there at 1 second, 9 tenths, and feel comfortable. You're going to dictate what this field does. I haven't seen anyone short pit and have success. Shutters has such a ginormous lead over most of this field that really only Golly and Schwartz are within striking distance, and even that's a stretch.
Yeah, it'd be not a completely uphill battle. We still have a couple sets of pits coming through, so there's still a chance for them to make up some time. And again, caution. And once we start seeing these guys coming in the pits, locking up that rear set of tires, we could see some action down there on the entrance.
To the outside now for the 48 of John Schwartz. Golly was playing defense just a second ago, but it looks like the 48 car is going to finally get this pass off. And now a change for position. It's so spread out, though, that, I mean, enjoy it while you see it here, chat. Let's find another situation. Here's 3 cars racing on top of each other. Nick Mills, Brandon McLaughlin, and Sean Kaser. But even then, I mean, these guys, they're 7 seconds back from what Shutters is doing right now.
But at this point, it's hard for them to even notice. They've been battling back here for probably 20 or 30 laps now. Side by side, I've seen them switching spots every couple laps. I don't know if they've really got their mind focused on what's happening at the front of the pack more so than just trying to stay on the track battling these guys.
And I mean, with the situation right now, if you're Yusuf Ghali, yeah, I was just about to say, if you're Yusuf Ghali, you're any of these guys that are starting to lose grip, maybe bring it down pit road. We were looking at 30, 40 laps for the last stint, and they were right at number 40 for the 45 team. He's going to bring it in.
I would almost have to say this would force the 44 car of Shutters to really think about pitting on this next lap in.
He's going to go another one here. I think right now the gap was sizable enough. You're looking at 1 second. He could probably afford to stay out a lap. Maybe 2 at the most, but I wouldn't go past that. Because then you put yourself in the same situation that Anderson put himself in, or I believe it was... I know I'm drawing a blank here. I think it was Brandon Holder. I can't remember exactly who it was that stayed out just about as long as... it might have been Yusuf Ghali. I can't remember now at this point. That's a long distant memory, and we're talking about 40 plus laps ago, and I told you, chat, I'm not doing math. I'm not doing it. Coming up on 60 to go, 65 to go when they cross the line this time around. Radburn Shutters stretches that lead out. Everybody is pretty much committed. I think the 44, yep, he's coming down this time now. Eric Hutton probably going to follow suit. Nope, he's going to stay out. Here comes the 87 for a lap lead.
Got to pick up those points.
So now you see the 48 on fresher tires going on by. If you're Eric Hutton, when is the prime opportunity for you to come down pit road? Are you going to try to stretch this run a little bit further and make it a one stop? I don't know if he has that possibility or not, but he is no, he does not. He will bring it down this time around. So Nick Mills still out on the racetrack, trying to get around Sean Kaser. First and second position right now as it cycles through. You also have the 81 of Brendan McLaughlin in this hunt. It's gonna be one of those speed moves into pit road, see who can get in there a little bit faster.
I'm thinking either that or see who can last the longest. You know, these guys still... I mean, they're sitting at 30-lap-old tires, but they got about 10 more to go before they really have to do it to keep up with the leaders like that. So, I don't know. That might be the wrong strategy, so don't quote me on that. But, again, it's a points game right now. Just pick up as many as you can while you can.
Sean definitely going to be able to do that as he gets a lap led. Nick Mills back in second position. Some of these guys back here, they might be just looking for that kind of opportunity, Logan, to get that extra bonus point. Even if it's just one lap, you know, that 1 point could go a long way. So we've reset, and the deficits were, I think the most was about 12, maybe 24 points. Man, my information tunnel here today, my information loop is just cycling, but there's no response from the client at all.
I think they call that a error 404.
I think I'm going to try unplugging it. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to unplug it, maybe take a little nap, start over.
I don't know. I think with these guys being 100 laps into this race, I don't think they'd be too interested in starting over at this point.
Oh, they can keep going. I'm just going to start over. I'm going to get out of bed on the other side. See if that helps. So Hutton comes down pit road, 2 laps now on this stint, and one of those cars that stayed out the longest. We still have 4 cars. Here comes Sean Kaser, Nick Mills as well. Brendan McLaughlin. No, Kaser tried to hit pit road. It looked like he was coming in, maybe missed it, made a mistake.
Or it was a fake on Nick Mills behind him.
Yeah, I wouldn't afford that time, though. I mean, you can try to fake, but I think he's genuinely looked like he was going to come down. No, I I guess not. I mean, we've had fakes on under caution, which are very effective. You get that train rolling, maybe fake a guy out and think, well, I only got 3 or 4 laps on my tires. Maybe I'll get in this guy's mirror, pretend like I'm going down pit road. Those are always the best ones when the guy in front of you decides, well, here's a free position. Thought you were pitting with me, that kind of thing is always, it's been effective, but never really seen it during green flag runs, Logan.
Hey, you know, you got to expect the unexpected in the playoffs.
It's the first time for everything. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't.
And if nobody's done it before, you heard it here first.
Yeah, if I ever have one of those moments, I just get on Google and type in exactly what my idea is. Try having an original thought in 2024. Somebody else has already done it. Guaranteed.
Really crushing my dreams there, Bradley.
Sorry, buddy. That's what I'm good for. My pessimistic outlook. Chat loves it. They've loved it all season here on Vspeed, and the Overtake iRacing League Cup Series has been phenomenal to watch. Like I said, Hawkins, who led the points almost the vast majority of the regular season, gets shuffled back to third and now has problems here at Homestead. He's currently being scored back in the 9th position. He did get one of those laps back. However, there are still cars out there on the racetrack that have not hit pit road or did and took fuel only. This is such a gamble.
GT's one of those cars. He's on 36 lap old tires, so I think at this point he's holding out for a caution to stay on this lead lap. He's done a great job of getting himself back to it. It's just going to be a matter of holding out hope and, you know, not having to pit under green flag caution or green flag conditions. Sorry.
Green flag cautions. That's a new one. I thought I was tired. I thought I was losing it, but sorry. Bro.
Yeah. Well, it happens. It's the oh goodness, they have a name for it where it's the you're affected by the people around you. I blame you, Bradley.
I'm putting off some kind of vibe check or an aura. I don't know if I believe in that or not.
I don't know if I can really keep up with these new terms in 2024 either. Vibe
Moving
check,
on.
I don't know what that is.
Moving on. Sean Kaser still out on the racetrack. 37 laps on this stint. 38 for Brendan McLaughlin. These guys fast approaching. Remember, these are the few guys that came back in during that caution that happened with Cody Anderson. So they're good on fuel for at least another 6-7 laps. However, for every lap that ticks by, the fastest cars on the racetrack right now, the freshest tires, you're looking at Nick Mills. GT Hawkins is actually, that's Dustin Reinsettel with 13. They're running 33 almost flat here on their outlap in some cases, and Sean Kaser's barely keeping in the 34 range here.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of those guys ended up running in qualifying was a low 33-second time. So, yeah, a lot of them in the 33.3s and the 33.4s. So, to see them running faster than qualifying times here on a hot track, is it starting to cool down out there, Bradley?
Yeah, we are getting a little bit of cloud cover, so it's 99 degrees now on the racing surface. It's helped a lot, especially in 3 and 4. We saw some guys getting loose off the exit of this course. Still seeing it in 1 and 2. There is still a little bit of sunlight, but there's plenty of shade here as we go through. Sounds like a car riding the wall here, possibly. That's Blake Hensley getting up into the wall in 3 and 4. And remember what I talked about where you get stuck up there? Let's take it back on the replay.
That safer barrier is just, it's a vacuum sometimes.
There, he gets stuck in it and goes probably a good 200-300 feet at least. Right side on that machine a little bit damaged. You can see it here currently on board. Some scuffs on the right front fender, and looks like it might be pushed in a little bit. Inslee currently in the 15th position. Not sure if he made a mistake on pit road or... And he has... It looks like he actually came back down pit road, so he was on what appeared to be in the box is where the mistake happened. 43 seconds. So a speeding penalty definitely for the 31. Yusuf Ghali also in that same boat, I believe. He is now 2 laps down. So a lot of these guys that were up front to start this out, some of the guys that would have been challenging the 44 of Shutters, have taken themselves out of the picture with mistakes.
Yeah, unfortunate for them, but again, a caution can fix that.
Well, it can definitely fix it for the driver that's the first car a lap down, and that's actually Nick Mills. However, we have a few guys that haven't hit the pit just yet. 43 and 43 for McLaughlin, and I want to say Mills probably going to cycle out somewhere around the 6th, 7th position. He'll be back on the lead lap here momentarily. Hawkins, who had gotten back on the lead lap, or gotten one of those laps back at, I want to say it was back on the lead lap in 9th, now has fallen back to 12th, and he's 2 laps down. So a lot of different strategies going on here, and we approach 50 to go, or just past 50 to go. What's your move now if you're a guy that got pinned a lap down from the caution, or you know, that restart for Hawkins? What do you do to overcome this with no yellows seeming to be left in the tank?
It's gonna be tough because you kind of almost have to bank on a yellow, but you could just play the long game, just save your tires and maybe see what the leaders do. It's really tough to say here, not having raced here. And I don't know. We're seeing a lot of mixed strategies, some that are working out, some that aren't working out. It's a tough one to say.
John Schwartz going to come by to lead his first lap of the day, as he stays out a little bit longer than everyone else. John Kaser had brought it down pit road in the 25 machine. Back out on the racetrack now for him. Benjamin McLaughlin, or Brandon McLaughlin, gonna bring it around here for just outside the top 10, sitting back in 11th, but he was the other driver that pit with that driver of the number 25. Doesn't seem like he got on and off the exit and the entrance very well. Lost a lot of time. Oh, and he's riding the wall now. The bad goes to worse for the 81 team, and you hate to see it. I mean, we've seen it a little more frequent now. I think the outside line, Logan, has started to heat up, and these guys, as they work their way up through the racetrack, that rubber probably got some marbles up there next to that wall. These guys are going to have to be a little more careful and maybe a little more distance between them and that outside.
Yeah, I've noticed that the past couple laps, earlier on, we were talking about how the middle line wasn't quite being used. It's starting to look like they're diving into the first part of the corner in that middle line and coming up to the top. I'm with you. I think that top line, it's gone, at least for now. It might reappear here towards the end of this, but it's not there right now for sure.
You're right on board here with the 44 car. 1 and 2 seems a little bit better for the high line, but even then, you have just as many factors and can make just as many mistakes. You don't want to get too close to that wall. Even if you clip it with the right rear, it's going to drag that car down on speed, and then suddenly the suspension doesn't want to turn anymore. That's kind of a core concept of these oval cars with the staggered offsets and cambers that are adjusted to be flat on the banked turns, and there's just so many things that you can take away from this that you're just like, okay, what scenario do I put myself in? How many races do I have to lose before I figure it out, So Logan, we're approaching this this mark here where some of these guys could pit and make it to the end of this race. Is there anyone out there that you see taking that gamble right now?
You know, I think we got to keep an eye on some of the guys in the back of the pack. You know, at this point, I would have to say that our top 10 guys here, well, other than the 25 here, top 10 guys are all around that 20 to 25 lap stint. I would say they're probably going to stretch this last one out.
I found one for you. It's David Farmer. He brings it in with exactly 40 to go almost, and about 40 and a half. There goes Shorts on by. The challenge for the lead is starting to get hot. Seeing Yusuf Ghali, who's actually scored a lap down, as we said, trying to unlap. He's actually 2 down, so he's trying to get one of them back here. And then you have the battle for the lead just behind the 48 car. And this is not what you want to see right now if you're Shutters, because you want to make quick work of this 48 car. You're actually losing time, all that advantage you had before these pit stops started.
Yeah, it's taken him a little while to get back up here, but I knew we'd be seeing him in the top 3 again at some point. It's going to be tight here with this last pit stop, and everybody's going to be racing the last 20 laps as hard as they can. I would expect to see some fireworks here in the ending of this race.
Dirty air from the lap machine of the 45 Yusuf Ghali actually causes Shorts to have to check up a little earlier than he wanted to. He's still going to maintain that run, but 2 laps difference maybe here for the pit stops, and that's about it. I mean, on this stint, 28 and 26, so Shorts 2 laps older. I don't think that's making a big difference here.
No, 2 laps is nothing.
You'd be surprised though, some of these tracks, man, they tire fall off. It's just so tremendous that just 10 laps in at Dover, if you came in and got tires, you'd pass the whole field in like 10 laps. It's incredible with this next gen car. How the front end just loves fresh rubber on it.
See, that's another thing I just don't have a whole lot of experience with is this next gen car. I do majority of my racing in the Xfinity car. I just love how that car drives, and it's always a fun time in those lobbies.
Organized chaos is what I call it.
Hey, that's my nickname for the trucks.
Less than 40 to go here, live on Vspeed. We're going to take another quick commercial break. When we come back, uninterrupted coverage here on Vspeed.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
I just put up a poll in the chat there. It's up at the top right now as we speak. And if you had any questions about who had a chance, they just came down pit road together. And I am impressed. John Schwartz takes over the lead there for that that third stint here on these pit stops. And it looks like he's going to come back out, maybe be in the lead as well, because they came down at the same time. Any mistakes here from the 44, which it looks like maybe a little slide through the box there, he loses some more ground. And the 48 is going to come back out on top.
Yeah, that's a good jump to have out of the pits there, but he's still going to have to drive it clean. But he's got himself a great chance here.
Well, the last time through, the 48 had 2 lap older tires. 44 could not get around him. Now, Schwartz has the same tires as the 44. So I was wondering about this all race. You remember, we can go back. Maybe a little Nostradamus moment here for me. I wanted to know what that 48 car had, because it seemed like every time he started to make up ground, he would dial it right on back. He'd settle that car back in and just say, okay, I don't want to show them just yet that they have to be afraid or that they have to play defense on me. And he's like the snake from the Jungle Book right now. He just hypnotized them all and no one saw it coming, and now he's found his way up into the top spot. Nick Mills still out on the racetrack. Sean Kaser, Craig Schroeder. A lot of these guys had stayed out longer. Remember, Sean had topped off and stayed out about 10 laps longer than everyone else. But this is the final pit stop. This is the one that has to be perfect, Logan.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody has to get in there and keep it clean. Caution could ruin it for some of these guys, but you know, if everything goes to plan, I think the rest of this race could very well go green here.
Looking that way, the racing surface has cooled down a little bit. We talked about that just a second ago. It's back up now to 101. So the sun completely back out. The cloud cover has changed back. And it's mostly clear skies here at Homestead. No chance of hurricanes. I think we're good in the year 88. Sideways. He's going to lose it into the pit entrance wall.
I am speechless.
That is not what you want to see. We have to go back and watch that. I mean, Mills hit it in exactly the best spot possible that it could hit the car. I think another inch forward or inch back and it's breaking a toe link. But yeah, we have to go back and take a look at this. I was talking about it earlier, Logan. The longer you stay out on this run, and he had came in, it was about 30 laps on the stint. It gets a little tougher each time. This car, very slick. Here you're going to see him sideways, and just imagine feeling this way, this helpless. 140 as you slide in. Lucky no one was behind him.
Just watching that there makes me think about earlier when we saw the 42, Cody Anderson, getting to the front of Holder. And I have to go back and say he definitely got saved on that touch. Because he was, by the looks of that, he would have hit that inside wall.
Actually, Michael Cole, they got in the side at Van Anderson. I, for whatever reason, remember that. Couldn't remember anything else here to recite here today, but I do remember that. And yeah, it was just one of those, you know, it could have been worse scenarios that we've already seen here today. And another one there from Mills. What's the next one? I mean, we almost brought out a yellow. All these strategies that we've played out through this race, and we've went green for, you know, the vast majority of it. Schwartz snags away the lead. I think that puts it back, the ball back in Shutter's court, where he's going to be in a better situation. We're sitting here now. Schwartz has got about 1.5 seconds over Shutters. Brendan McLaughlin has found his way in between these two. I don't know. I don't even know what the final results of this poll are going to be, but everybody's saying Shutters has got it, and we only had 33% on that poll for Schwartz. I think right now, chat, you're about to be really surprised. I think your final results are wrong. I'm going to go with Schwartz here. If this race stays green, he's got it in the bag.
Yeah, it's green flag is the best case scenario for that 48 machine. Caution's the best case scenario for the 44. You got to get those two group back up together here, and if we can get those two back up at the front, I would be surprised if it's not side by side the way these two have been driving.
On the other scenario here, we have Farmer, who would technically, after Sean Kaser, has to come down pit road. There's no way Kaser can make it to the end of this race. He's going to be short. That being said, Farmer, he came down with just about exactly 40 laps to go. We know the pit window was about 41, 42 laps that you could stretch this out. Now, Sean, he can clutch all he wants. It's going to be tough. I mean, maybe staying in fifth gear and clutching, but he's losing so much time if he does that to the rest of this field that I just don't think that he's going to try that, and he's probably going to run out.
Yeah, looking at the extra tenth he picked up there on
He is
Farmer,
clutching.
he's found a good line then.
I mean, he's on the clutch, but, just that last time by, we were talking about almost 8 tenths. 34.6 for Sean, and David Farmer at 33.8. Yeah, that lead dwindling down to under 2.5. It's just every lap that goes by, you're going to see another 5 tenths here, 5 tenths there, and it's just too many laps. And I mean, kudos to him to try it, but I don't think he's going to save enough to where once Farmer and Schwartz get to him that he'll be able to do anything to contest it. Mills trying to get around him here.
That'll be another thing, too, to potentially help that 25. If he can catch the draft, save a little bit of extra fuel there. But at this point, I think he's just picking up lead laps.
A little wiggle there coming out of turn 4 for Farmer as the 48 of Schwartz goes by for what would be the lead when Kaser pits. This is for second spot. The 48 car gets around, checking back here with shutters. We're still talking about 1.6, 1.8. That's not come down since they hit pit road, and we're at 20 laps to go. Does Shutters have something extra in the tank we don't know about? He's been fighting with Yusuf Ghali now for about 5-6 laps, and I know Ghali's not really, I don't think he's hindering anything. He's giving him plenty of room here on the exits of the corner and everything. I don't see that. I don't see the speed that we saw on the 44 earlier.
And it's hard to say why he would be potentially holding back. This is the time where you want to go, especially when you've got a couple cars between you and the leader. Granted, one of them definitely has to pit, one of them might, but I feel like he's got a push here.
John Kaser way off the pace here. He's trying to save even more. I think he's going to be a little bit short. He'll probably have to bring this 25 car down to pit road, barring that we don't have a yellow. That might be what he's relying on at this point, just trying to stretch it as far as he can in the hopes that we do indeed get a caution, but doesn't look like it's going to happen thus far. Farmer 1.6 back, Shutters 1.8. This is John Schwartz's race right now as it sits, but he has some lap traffic to navigate in front of him.
Lap traffic and still 16 laps to go. Well, there's still time for anybody.
He needs to watch that outside wall as well. No reason to push it too hard. So he's going to be forced to take the bottom line. This might give up a little bit of ground to the 44, who's able to get around the 84 machine. So change for second position again. But there's so much going on with this strategy. 15 laps identical. Now 16 for the 48 and the 44. Everybody that participated in that poll, it might have been a little rigged because I posted it as we came back from the break, and when you know it, those guys, for the dominant performance that this car has had today, 82 laps led, it would have surprised me too. I would have went with Shutters if you asked me at lap 72, but now I've reconsidered.
Yeah, and this is having those lap cars between the 48 and the 44 is only going to benefit Schwartz. So I think that was part of his whole game plan there to get around those guys. I think that's why he was pushing that hard.
So all the participants, if you were in that 33%, you're thinking the same way I am right now with 15 laps to go. Schwartz looking really strong coming across the line. He's maintaining the gap that's grown to 2.5 seconds in the closing laps, playoff race number 1 at Homestead. Shutters back here in second position, trying to shave it down. I don't think he has anything left. I think he would have turned it on by now because we're at crunch time. This is too big of a gap to be lagging back now. You have to go if you have it, and it just looks like navigating the traffic combined with, well, there's a little wiggle right there in 3 where he tags the apron, and he's still trying to get that car back under him. It just looks like that 44 car is faded out and just not handling the way it did. But look at this. Remember the guy I said that likes to just show up at the very end?
Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, well, here he is. 9 of Brandon Holder has found his way into the top 3 and is gaining on the 44 of Shutters. So a podium day for the 9. Who would have thought of that? Then it's Eric Hutton back here, the fan favorite, everybody in the chat, for the 87 team. The Burger King Whopper Camaro just having a quiet night. He did have a little contact there where there was a caution and some debate, and you know, but outside of that, I mean, Hutton's just, he's driving this car to maintain points. Right now, no reason to push.
He's doing a good job to keep that thing where it's at, and at the end of the day, top 10, no matter where you're at, is a great finish. So to be up here in the 4th spot, you got to be happy with it no matter what.
A little tag with the safer barrier there, tagged it at probably the best place imaginable because the turn was practically over there. David Farmer back in 5th position just behind him. We saw the 84 kind of fall off here. He's got about 12 lap older tires than some of these guys that are up in the front. And he pulled the strategy. He did what he thought he had to do. I thought maybe it would be a wild card too. I like the play. It gets him a top 5. He's got a good shot at that. Sean Kaser, of course, saving fuel, probably not going to be a factor. But here with 10 to go, I don't know when it exactly happened here for the 48. I know he was in striking distance the whole time, Logan, but just the execution of a pit stop or whatever the case may have been, it's just like we blinked, and then suddenly the 48 car was like, hey, I'm the leader, and here I am. See you later.
I almost wonder if he ended up taking just 2 tires on that pit stop before the last and got out ahead of Shutters, and he's just been able to maintain that gap the whole time. And whenever they finally came in for the last one...
That's a tall order, Logan, with the 2 tires, though. I mean, to maintain that gap, especially when they were 2 laps older, that's... Unless he knows something that we don't with the handling of this car and the progressive banking, maybe there's the weather, the 2 tires just feel better. I don't know. Based off of what I've seen here today, I wouldn't want to... We had guys that took no tires, of course, and then, you know, so you saw the fall off from that.
You know, it's unlikely, but you got to admit it is an option.
Yeah, it's always an option, and we've seen guys do it, especially at short tracks this season, where they'll come in and just top off with enough fuel, get 2 tires, or, you know, have that late race caution, and they're, you know, back in 10th. They'll take 2 tires, gain 7 spots. I saw Brandon Holder do it in the Truck Series. I believe it was at Gateway. And, you know, came in, got 2 tires, passed 10 cars, was in the top 3 to restart, and just, I mean, it was enough that he got such a jump. It was just enough. We're checking back here with Holder. He's kind of went stagnant here. We're talking about 0.7 of a second for 2nd to 3rd position. Eric Hutton about a second back from this battle. We're going to get the 5 to go signal here very soon, so if Holder has anything for Shutters, that now is the time, but it looks like maybe a little bit slower this time around as well. closest battle on the racetrack is actually right here between second and third place. If you can believe that. The second closest battle, well, you'd have to go even further. It's Eric Hutton. He's 1.2 seconds. However, I think we're going to lock up this top 5. I'm pretty confident of it, Logan. I think we're pretty much done with the shuffling. Unless someone makes a crazy, dramatic mistake, I think we're pretty much locked and sealed.
Yeah, I think at this point, all these drivers just going to focus on finishing the race where they're at. Yeah, again, top 10 finish in the first round of playoffs. Still a great finish. So it makes no sense to, put yourself from 4th or 5th and all the way back to potentially 14th or 15th.
Yeah, statistically, I mean, unless we get a yellow, and then if I'm 5th place back, I'm probably coming down pit road. I'm going to get 4 fresh tires, and I'm going to see what I can get with it. Yeah, there's no reason to stay out, and I think John Schwartz probably knows that. However, Shutters is going to do the exact opposite of whatever this 48 car does. I'd have a feeling that if they come down to pit road together, they might try one of those 2 tire stops you mentioned there before.
Yeah, just to pick up those extra couple seconds saved from that shorter pit stop, it could be a huge game changer.
There it is, the spread, and talking about 0.8 of a second, hasn't changed much at all. This car looking like it's just neutral. It doesn't look loose, doesn't look tight, but it just kind of looks like there's no advantage for either line right now. High line, low line doesn't really much matter, but Schwartz in the clean air, that's been very advantageous, and he's navigated through the lap traffic. He's got smooth waters ahead for the remaining 3 laps, 2.5 as they come out of 3 and 4.
Yeah, Schwartz has made this thing look like he's just got it on cruise control for the last 20 or 30 laps.
Second most laps led, but most importantly, 2 laps to go, and he just has to lead that last one. 4-second lead. Nice and smooth here for the 48 team. Looking to get another victory here in the Overtake iRacing League Cup Series. Remember, Schwartz sitting back just at that cut line. He was the last car to make it into the playoffs. Well, I tell you what, big grins on the face of this driver. No wins in the regular season. He's gonna get the first one in the Cup Series in the first race of the playoffs. Down the backstretch for the final time today. Smoothly through 3 and 4, and with no indication that he had the car to beat, he finds his way to the lead for the final 35 laps. John Schwartz is gonna be victorious here at Homestead. Phenomenal job. I mean, kudos to the 33% that voted for him. And I think that was partially the same advantage he had over this field. There wasn't maybe 2 or 3% chance that he was going to get by the 44 at the start of this race. And he finds his way up there, getting a little group hug session through 3 and 4 from Hutton and Golly. But how about that? Logan, again, it was a clean race for him. He was just surprisingly fast. I kind of hinted that I thought he was faster than what he was letting on, but once he got out front, just checked out.
Yeah, absolutely. And to start in 16th, finish this race in first, that's one heck of a drive by John Schwartz tonight. I'd be interested to know if it came down to strategy or, like you said, was he just faster and had a rough time in qualifying? So I'm excited to hear you get to talk to him after this race.
Absolutely. Post-race interviews with your top 3. Overtake iRacing League Cup Series. Final results when we return.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Back live on Vspeed, Overtake iRacing League Cup Series has concluded its first race of the playoffs. 160 laps here today in Homestead, Miami. And a surprise, not so much a surprise, I kind of hinted at what I thought maybe was possible when the 48 team gets it done here today. Hi, puppy. As we bring those final results up on your screen. Shutters starts on the pole. He got beat by 4.8 seconds. I know that's got to feel a little sting there, but congrats to him as well as starting on the pole, getting that stage win, and finishing second. Still a great day. John Schwartz gonna gain a little bit here. Brandon Holder is gonna finish third. Another, no surprise moment there for the 9 car. Eric Hutton, another fantastic finish. He's gonna get a top 5 for fourth. David Farmer, a guy that started up in the top 5. He's going to finish exactly where he began the day. It's another solid start and finish for the 84 team. Sean Kaser, he stretched the fuel run. He stretched it as far as he could. He made it to the end of this race. He's going to get 6th. Dustin Ryan settles 7th position. Quiet day for him in the 11. Saw a lot of racing back there from 8th back to about 12th position. He was involved in a lot of it. He's going to be able to overcome that. Craig Schroeder in 8th position. Good finish for him. Looks like Matt Grenier is going to bring it home in 9th, and Brandon McLaughlin is the top 10. 11th spot's going to go to Nick Mills with GT Hawkins. Unfortunate day for him. He's going to be a lap down, back in the 12th position. Started on 2nd. That's tough, man. That's a tough pill to swallow first race of the playoffs. Yusuf Ghali is going to bring it home in 13th. Michael Cole in 14th. Blake Hensley, Cody Anderson, and James Silvers rounding out the field. These following 3 did not grid. They did not elect to take the grid here today. Jonathan Cofield, Lucas Lyons, and Mark Morton. So now that we've went through that, let's take you down to pit road and get some post-race interviews going here. Let's first catch up with your third place finisher. It's Brandon Holder in the number 9. Logan's down there now.
Brandon, Logan and Bradley up here in the Vspeed booth. You got a copy?
I got you, buddy. What's going on?
Hey, man, great race tonight. Starting out in 10th spot, coming up to 3rd. We had kind of kept an eye on you at one point. Bradley had mentioned that you're always kind of a late game guy, and you always keep yourself in the battle wherever you're at. And started seeing you moving up through the pack. How was that car driving that late in that stint? You seem to make it look pretty easy.
Well, for some reason, I am not good at this track, so I am elated to have a third. I got behind Radburn there and kind of seen what he was doing, and it helped me out a lot. I haven't been able to practice a lot lately due to baseball season, so Um, I'm happy with the third.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in the first round of the playoffs, and you had yourself a good season throughout, and got yourself to the playoffs. So just run me through how you're feeling right now. A third place finish. You got to go into the next one with some momentum, and obviously a smile on your face here at Homestead, Miami. Just kind of walk me through how you're feeling, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that I've had the consistency all year long, but you get deep in the playoffs and that's not going to cut it. You're going to have to start winning. So hopefully I can get a win here or there and try to move on and advance in the playoffs.
Absolutely. That's the key at this point is keeping on moving forward with every race. Brandon, while you're here, buddy, anybody you'd like to say hey to?
Yeah, I got to shout out Cornerstone. I say it every week or every time I get up here that they're the best team to be on. The way they work together. Alex Penn is amazing. The strategy that he comes up with and all the guys together. So I got to thank them and BK Paints for the paint job and y'all's broadcast. It's outstanding.
Awesome. Well, good to hear from you, Brandon, again. Great job. 10th place to third. Awesome race, man. We'll see you at the next one.
All right, guys. Thank you.
That's Brandon Holder, your third place finisher of the day. We need to come up with a nickname for this guy for that. It's the art of what he does to be deep in the field, starting out 10th, quiet day. I mean, he creeped around the top 5 a little bit, but it's always there about 20, 30 to go. There he is.
Every time. We'll have to think of something.
Yeah, there's got to be a nickname for it, but outside of that, Logan, I heard you've caught up with Radburn Shutters in the number 44.
Yeah, I've got Radburn here, and Radburn, you got a copy with me, buddy?
Yeah, I got you.
Man, 82 laps led tonight. You took that thing from start to midway, had no issues at all. Started to see, after some of those pit stops, the difference between having that clean air and that dirty air. How badly was that affecting you there?
Well, I don't think it was too bad. As far as just riding around behind people, it made it feel like there was a few extra laps on the tires. After like 10 laps, it felt like there was 15 or 20 on the tires if you got in behind somebody, which was manageable. It was just it was so hard to try and pass once you get backed up behind a few guys, and then the high line would work right here. If you go down low, you come out of the corner, you're not going to have the run down the front or back stretch to pass them. So you kind of had to play a lot of chess, and I don't know. I probably, at least people that I was racing with, I don't know that I passed anybody this entire race. I got past. I know me and Yusuf and John ran around with each other quite a bit there at the end, and even trying to get by Yusuf, we had similar pace for most of the run, and just hard to pass. Hard to pass these guys that are just so good at this place, man. Big wide track like this, arrow, and getting loose off the corner after 20 laps, rolling that high side, coming out sideways is pretty wild. It's a cool race.
Yeah, it was fun to watch and fun to call. Like you said, there not a whole lot of passing up there in the top 5. Everybody kind of got settled into a position and kind of kept it there for the most part. A lot of that action was towards the back of the pack. Run me down real quick though on that last pit stop, like kind of what your strategy was for those last 30 to 40 laps or so.
Well, I got on pit road pretty good, but on iRacing, if you go too far past your box, they won't service you until you back up a little bit. And so that's what I decided to do, is go too far and paid the consequences there. But man, it wasn't going to do anything anyway. I might have ran around behind John that last run. If he would have got out in front of me like he did, that's where it was going to end at no matter what. He had something else there in that last run that I didn't, for sure. Just having to hang out on pit road a little longer than I wanted to didn't help one bit. He just kept getting smaller and smaller as that last run went on. But he ran excellent there. That second to last run and that last run just pulling away from me. He did really well there. Yeah, I kind of felt like as the race went on, I just kept losing a little bit, little by little every lap. By the end of it, I don't know if it was track was just rubbered in and I wasn't used to it or what it was, but I had my wheel pointed at about the 3 or 4 o'clock position on every corner exit. Just unhappy race car.
Yeah, we saw that from a lot of guys there. Track temperature fluctuating and everything like that. It has a lot of effect at a track like this, but you managed it well. And, again, 82 laps led. That's a lot of bonus points for you there. And then, of course, a P2 finish. Again, great job, Radburn. And while you're here, before you go, anybody you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I thank everybody at Cornerstone Motorsports for knocking out some practice laps and trying to get ourselves prepared for this playoff run. Team championship. Hopefully, going to put one of our guys on the podium in that final race. Take another championship with us. Got to hammer out the practice every week like they do. Roll these beautiful paint schemes out every week. Got to thank our sponsors, Gigi's, Function Junction, Mountain View Detailing, and Waynesville Tire. My beautiful fiance for supporting these wild hobbies of ours and allowing us on a Wednesday night. Sounds pretty wild to a most. Everybody with the broadcast, everyone at OiL for showing up every week and making it a big reason why we all want to come back and do this again, week in and week out. So thank you guys.
Absolutely, Radburn. Again, great race tonight. And we will catch you next week, buddy.
Sound good, bud. We'll see.
That's Radburn Shutters in the number 44. He'll be your second place finisher, stage 1 winner, 82 laps led here today at Homestead. And then finally, that brings us down to Victory Lane, where we have the 48 of John Schwartz. And I would have to say that 33% of the chat got it right. I had a feeling going into that second stint where you were turning up the heat a little bit. I think you were just dipping your toe in to see if it was warm yet, seeing if you still had it. And then that last pit stop, man, you just checked out. What a phenomenal job here tonight, John.
Yeah, thank you so much, Bradley, and Logan as well. Definitely going to check out the broadcast later, but I'd love to see how many guys in the chat had me as a prediction at the start of the race, because I sure didn't believe in anything actually there. So yeah, definitely a lot of work to climb up through the field. And once it got to that top 5, those guys were just flying, being able to just get consistent laps over and over. Yusef and David and GT and Radburn, of course, those guys were just incredible. So just tried to hang with them best I could for that first stint. And it seemed that I was shifting a little bit to get better exits, but that seemed to really hurt the tires a lot. So tried to change up the strategy in that second stint or into the final stage, and that seemed to make a really big difference. So gotta give a shout out to Yusuf and Eric for helping with strategy in terms of undercut, since that had such a powerful effect here. So yeah, definitely quite a challenge with those long green flag runs. This track burns up tires. You're constantly sliding on corner exits, so quite a handful. But yeah, I was looking in my mirrors plenty of times, especially I think on that next to last run where Radburn closed up all the way on me, and yeah, he was definitely piling the pressure on. So super glad to get not only a podium but a win, because I've been trying the whole season and these guys have just been so competitive throughout. So yeah, I gotta give a shout out to just how competitive this Cup Series is. It's hard to get a win, so I really appreciate them when you can get it.
Yeah, you picked a fine time to start doing it, John. You were the last driver on that cutoff line, and this is going to help tremendously because it locks you into that next elimination. You won't have to worry as much as you did in the regular season, where you were just like, man, if I gotta do this on points alone, that's when it gets really complicated.
Yeah, absolutely. And not just that, but the fact we have Talladega this round. Like, I think back in early in the season at Atlanta, didn't do too well, and last week at Daytona, definitely didn't. We were leading, I think, with a few laps to go, but got made the wrong lane choice and then got involved in a wreck. So just it's so unpredictable at Daytona and Talladega, those tracks. So to be able to advance, not have to worry about that, is just, it's quite a relief. So happy to advance in the next round, and hope to keep the momentum going forward. But just gotta take it a week at a time.
Well, John, I mean, just picture perfect day. The surprise, you sounds like you're surprised yourself. I mean, I hinted at it during the broadcast that I felt like you were a little bit faster than you were letting on, and then you made some adjustments. You seemed like maybe you just started trying that line to see what it would do, and then you really committed to it at the end. Congrats on the victory. Is there anybody that comes to mind outside of Yusuf and then those guys that you wanted to shout out?
Yeah, definitely gotta give a shout out to Aerokinetics and Hypre and Simrace City, a bunch of teams been running with recently. Overtake iRacing League as well. And yeah, I think, of course, you guys for broadcasting. So yeah, thanks again. Oh, also Fanatec, using Fanatec for for my wheel and my pedals and stuff. So hopefully my my shifter comes in. I ordered it 6 months ago, and they've been having some supply issues. So just using paddle shifters for now. But yeah, I'll give them shout outs until
Yeah.
until I get a refund, I guess.
We'll try to give you a platform and let them know that 6 months, that's quite the stretch there, Fanatec. So let's try to get this guy a shifter so he can get on with it. But hey, John, congrats again, and we look forward to seeing you next week at Watkins Glen, buddy.
Thanks. See you then.
John Schwartz, winner here today. He led 35 laps. Most importantly, he led the last one, and he gets his first victory, and he does it in the playoffs. So congrats to him. Amazing job, all of these drivers. Race recap back up on your screen. 3 cautions and 9 lead changes. The 1 caution counts as a stage, so technically 2 yellows, and it was a pretty clean day today.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't ask for much more at Homestead, Miami. And, you know, again, we're at the best of this league. Top 16 drivers here. It's going to show week to week. The competition's going to get more stiff, and we're going to see a lot tighter racing as this playoff series goes on.
Well, we hope you can join us next week. The Overtake iRacing League Cup Series is going to go live at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. That's Wednesday, of course. We're going to go to Watkins Glen for the first playoff race at a road course. And, of course, the 3 series here for the Overtake iRacing League. The Monday Truck Series, the Tuesday Xfinity Series, all at 9 p.m. You can catch those next week as well. And tomorrow night, and at 8 p.m., we have the QSR Chase for the Cup. It'll be presented live here on Vspeed. Adam Baker will be working the production, and Alec Martinez as lead commentary. But for everyone here at Vspeed, again, Adam Baker is going to be doing production tomorrow. My co-commentator of the night, Logan Threlkeld, Morgan Cook, Eddie Smith, and Christian Hill, our other producers. This is Bradley Cooper telling you to have a great rest of your week. We'll see you tomorrow night. Take care, everybody.